The runes are a gift from the Norse gods, a system of wisdom whispered on the wind and carved into stone, wood and bone. They're far more than just a simple alphabet used for writing everyday messages. To our ancestors, each rune was a sacred symbol, a key that unlocked a specific cosmic force or a deep aspect of the human experience. They represented concepts like strength, harvest, protection, and change. To carve a rune was to invoke its power, to draw its energy into the world for a specific purpose, whether for safeguarding a journey, ensuring a good crop, or seeking victory in battle. Understanding the runes is, honestly, kind of like learning to read the language of the universe itself, seeing the hidden patterns that shape our lives and destinies. In the ancient world, rune masters were revered individuals who could interpret these powerful symbols. They understood that the runes were not just tools for fortune-telling but a profound method for self-discovery and understanding the world around them. Each of the 16 runes in the Younger Futhark, which was the system used during the Viking Age, holds a universe of meaning. These meanings are layered, shifting with context and the surrounding runes, much like words in a sentence. They can speak of our inner strengths, our hidden weaknesses, the challenges we face, and the potential that lies within us. By studying them, we connect with a timeless stream of wisdom that is just as relevant today, in the year 2025 as it was 1,000 years ago. The power of runes extends to the very names we carry. A name is not just a label, it is a vibration, a story, a unique combination of sounds and energies that defines a person's essence. When we transliterate a modern name into the ancient runes, we are not merely translating letters. We're actually uncovering the underlying archetypal forces that shape an individual's character and path. This process reveals a hidden blueprint, a runic signature that can illuminate a person's core motivations, their inherent talents, and the great life lessons they are here to learn. It's a way of seeing the soul's contract, written in the sacred script of the North. Today, as we navigate a world of rapid change and political turbulence, this ancient wisdom offers a unique lens through which to view our leaders. By examining the runic signature of a figure like Donald Trump, we can gain a deeper perspective on the forces he embodies and the role he plays in our collective story. The runes do not offer simple predictions of good or bad. Instead, they reveal the complex interplay of energies at work, offering us insight and understanding. They help us look beyond the surface of daily headlines and see the mythic patterns unfolding, allowing us to comprehend the deeper currents that are shaping the fate of a nation and its people. To begin our runic exploration, we must first translate the name Donald Trump into the script of the Younger Futhark. This isn't a simple one-to-one letter swap, since the ancient Norse alphabet had fewer characters than our modern one. We have to listen to the sounds of the name, not just look at its spelling. Donald becomes D-O-N-A-L-D, and Trump becomes T-R-U-M-P. The transliteration uses the rune that best represents the sound of each letter. This process transforms a familiar name into a powerful sequence of sacred symbols, each holding a specific energy and meaning that contributes to the whole, creating a unique runic formula that tells a story about the individual. The full runic sequence for Donald Trump is as follows, with each rune assigned a position from 1 to 11. For D, we use the Tyr rune. For O, the OS rune. For N, the Nodder rune. For A, the R rune. For L, the Loger rune. For the second D, another Tyr rune. For T, we again use Tyr. For R, the Reed rune. For U, the rune. For M, the Matter rune. And for P, which doesn't really have a direct equivalent, we use the Bjarken rune, which often stands in for P and B sounds. This gives us a powerful and revealing sequence of 11 runes, each ready to be interpreted in its position. Here is the complete runic signature, with each rune occupying a specific place in the sequence. 1. Tyr, D, the warrior god, justice, sacrifice. 2. Os, O, the god, communication, wisdom. 3. Nodder, N, need, constraint, necessity. 4. R, A, the year, harvest, good season. 5. Loger, L, water, the flow, life energy. 6. Tyr, D, the warrior god, justice, sacrifice. 7. Tyr, T, the warrior god, justice, sacrifice. 8. Reed, R, the ride, journey, order. 9. U, the drizzle or iron, strength, endurance. 10. Matter, M, man, humanity, the self. 11. Bjarken, P, the birch goddess, rebirth, beginnings. This sequence is the foundation of our analysis. It's not just a string of symbols, it's a narrative. The position of each rune is crucial, as is the relationship between neighboring runes. The repetition of certain runes, like Tyr, is especially significant, creating a powerful emphasis on their core themes. We can see, even at a glance, that the energies of the warrior, justice, need, and strength are central to this runic signature. It paints a picture of a person driven by powerful forces, whose path is marked by both struggle and achievement, leadership and conflict. Within any runic signature, repeating runes act like powerful echoes, amplifying their energy and significance throughout the entire reading. The method developed by the modern runic scholar Dawn Daybreaker provides a fascinating way to understand this phenomenon. Her approach connects the number of times a rune appears to the rune in that corresponding numerical position. This creates a direct link, a channel of energy, between the repeating runes and another key aspect of the person's destiny. It reveals how the dominant themes in a person's life influence other, seemingly separate areas of their experience, weaving a more intricate web of meaning. In Donald Trump's name, the Tyr rune appears 3 times. Following Daybreaker's method, we look to the 3rd rune in his name sequence to see what this triple dose of warrior energy is fundamentally connected to. The 3rd rune is Nordic, the rune of need, constraint, and necessity. This creates a profound and powerful link. The drive for justice, order, and victory, Tyr, is intrinsically bound to a deep-seated sense of need or lack, Nordic. It suggests that his leadership style, his combative nature, and his constant pursuit of what he defines as winning are all fueled by a fundamental driving necessity. This isn't just a desire for victory, it's a feeling that it is absolutely essential for survival. This connection helps explain the relentless, almost desperate energy that often characterizes his actions. The constant battles, the framing of every issue as a fight to be won, and the focus on perceived grievances all resonate with this Tyr-Nordic link. For example, his fierce feud with Elon Musk in June 2025 wasn't just a political disagreement. It was framed as a necessary battle against betrayal. Similarly, his sweeping executive orders and legislative pushes like the Big Beautiful Bill are presented not as mere policy choices, but as urgent, non-negotiable actions required to save the nation from imminent peril. The warrior's sword is constantly being drawn in response to a perceived crisis or need. The other repeating rune in his name is which appears once, but its sound, U, is central to his last name. If we consider the thematic weight of this rune, its repetition in spirit, if not in letter, is significant. The rune represents primal strength, endurance, and the raw power of creation and destruction. Its connection to the 9th position, where it physically sits, reinforces its own meaning. However, if we were to find a second it would point to the 2nd rune, Os, communication. This would suggest his raw strength is channeled through his words. Even with a single its presence in the latter part of his name points toward an enduring, foundational strength that underpins his public persona. The Tyr rune is the most dominant force in Donald Trump's runic signature, appearing 3 times. Tyr is the rune of the sky god, the divine warrior who sacrificed his hand to bind the wolf Fenrir, ensuring the safety of the cosmos. This rune embodies justice, order, self-sacrifice for a greater cause, and righteous victory. It is the rune of leadership, law, and unwavering principle. A person with strong Tyr energy is a natural leader, a fighter who is willing to take bold, decisive action based on their convictions. They are driven by a powerful sense of right and wrong, and will wage war to see their vision of order implemented in the world. This Tyr energy is visible in nearly every aspect of Trump's presidency. His philosophy of a government of men, not of laws, where strong individuals are needed to enact justice, is a pure expression of Tyr's essence. His supporters see him as a warrior fighting for them, willing to sacrifice his own comfort to challenge a corrupt system. Actions like the mass pardoning of January 6th defendants are seen, through this lens, not as an abuse of power, but as the act of a chieftain restoring justice to his tribe. His aggressive trade negotiations and tariff policies are modern-day battles, waged with economic weapons to secure victory for his nation. The rune, appearing in the 9th position, represents a different kind of power. Is the wild ox, or the primal drizzle that shapes the earth. It is raw, untamed, formative strength. It symbolizes endurance, physical and mental fortitude, and the life force itself. While Tyr is about structured, principled leadership, is about sheer power and resilience. It is the energy of survival against all odds, the unshakable foundation upon which a structure is built. Its presence in his name suggests a deep well of personal stamina, and an ability to withstand immense pressure, attacks, and challenges that would break many others. This energy manifests as an incredible resilience in the face of controversy. The constant political storms, the market plunges caused by his feuds, like the one with Musk, and the international criticism seem to have little lasting impact on his core support or his own resolve. He endures. This rune also speaks to his focus on foundational, strong industries like manufacturing and his promises of massive economic investment, claiming tariffs have brought in $7 trillion. He projects an image of primal American strength, of building things big and solid. Is the raw material, the iron and stone that Tyr, the builder, then shapes according to his vision of order. While Tyr and are the dominant forces, the single runes in Donald Trump's name add crucial nuance and detail to the story. Each rune's meaning is shaped by its neighbors, creating a flow of energy through the name. The second rune, Os, is the rune of the divine mouth, representing communication, wisdom, and inspiration. Placed between the warrior energy of Tyr and the constraint of Nordic, it suggests that his communication is a primary tool for both waging his battles and articulating the sense of need that drives him. His rallies, speeches, and social media posts are the channels through which he marshals his forces and defines the crises that must be overcome. Following Nordic is the fourth rune, R, meaning a good year or harvest. Its position next to Nordic or need is highly significant. This pairing creates a powerful dynamic of need leading to harvest. It suggests a life path focused on turning situations of lack into abundance, or at least promising to do so. This is the core of his political message. He identifies a problem or a decline, Nordic, and promises a golden age of prosperity and success. R, the recent truce with China leading to a massive stock market rally, is a perfect example of this pattern in action, resolving a conflict or need to produce an immediate and visible economic gain or harvest. The fifth rune, Logr, means water or flow, symbolizing the currents of life, intuition, and the unconscious. It is bordered by the promise of harvest, R, and the decisive action of Tyr. This suggests an intuitive ability to navigate the flow of events and public opinion to achieve his goals. However, water can also be chaotic and overwhelming. This rune points to a leader who is deeply in tune with the emotional currents of the populace, able to ride those waves to power. His unpredictable nature, which can lead to both brilliant successes and sudden disruptive feuds, is a reflection of Logr's fluid and sometimes uncontrollable energy. The final runes, Reed, Journey and Order, Madra, Man and Humanity, and Bjarkan, Rebirth, complete the narrative. Reed, nestled between two Tyr runes, indicates that his journey or path is defined by conflict and the imposition of order. Madra, following the raw strength of suggests his identity is tied to being a representative man of the people, channeling their collective strength. Finally, Bjarkan, the rune of the birch goddess and new beginnings, ends the name. This suggests that the ultimate outcome of his actions, for better or worse, is always framed as a form of rebirth or a new start for the nation. Every rune possesses a dual nature, a light side, Alfstave, and a shadow side, Mørkstave. The Alfstave meaning represents the rune's energy in its most positive, balanced, and constructive form. The Mørkstave, or dark stick, appears when the rune is inverted, or when its energy is blocked, excessive, or misapplied. Understanding this duality is essential for a complete reading, as it reveals the potential pitfalls and highest expressions of a person's runic signature. For a figure as polarizing as Donald Trump, both the light and shadow aspects of his key runes are constantly on display for the world to see. Let's examine the triple Tyr rune. In its Alfstave, or light aspect, Tyr is the noble warrior and the just king. This is the Trump who brokers peace deals like the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, or who signs executive orders to lower drug prices for the elderly. It is the leader who fights for his people, takes decisive action, and upholds a strong moral code. His supporters see his actions, such as the tariff truce with China or his planned Middle East trip to secure investment, as the work of a master strategist, fighting for national prosperity and order. This is Tyr as the wise and victorious chieftain. However, the Mørkstave, or shadow aspect of Tyr, is that of the tyrant, the zealot, and the warrior who fights for the sake of fighting. In this shadow form, justice becomes blind vengeance, and order becomes rigid control. This energy can be seen in actions that critics view as overreaching, such as the threat to suspend habeas corpus for deportations, or the use of federal agencies to investigate political rivals. The feud with Elon Musk, which risked significant economic damage over a personal slight, can be interpreted as Tyr's shadow, where the battle itself becomes more important than the well-being of the kingdom. The warrior's sacrifice becomes a demand for the sacrifice of others. Similarly, the Ur rune has its light and shadow. In its Alfstave expression, Ur is foundational strength, resilience, and vitality. It is the power to build and endure, seen in his claims of a coming economic explosion upward and his ability to weather endless political storms. This is the strength that allows him to push through massive legislation like the Big, Beautiful Bill. The Merkstave side of Ur, however, is brute force, stubbornness, and destructive power. It can manifest as a refusal to listen to advice or acknowledge inconvenient facts, such as disputing official economic data that shows a contraction. It is strength without wisdom, endurance without flexibility. When we weave together all the threads of Donald Trump's runic signature, a clear and compelling portrait emerges. We see a leader defined by the triple energy of Tyr, the warrior god, whose every action is driven by the foundational force of Nauder or need. His presidency is a constant campaign, a series of battles waged to impose his vision of order and justice upon a world he perceives as chaotic and lacking. This is not a path of quiet diplomacy or gentle compromise. It is the path of the sword, the executive order, and the grand decisive gesture. His journey, Reed, is one of conflict, aimed at achieving a bountiful harvest, R, for his people. The events of 2025 serve as a living illustration of this runic pattern. The Big Beautiful Bill, with its massive spending and cuts, is a Tyr-like attempt to remake the nation's economy in one swift, powerful stroke. The feuds, the travel bans, and the challenges to established institutions are all skirmishes in his larger war. The promise of $1 trillion investment from Saudi Arabia is the ultimate R, or harvest, meant to justify the struggle. His resilience in the face of plunging markets and bipartisan criticism is the raw endurance of the Ur rune, allowing him to push forward where others would retreat. He is a figure of immense focused power. The duality of Merkstave and Alfstave shows why he is such a divisive figure. For his supporters, he is Tyr in his Alfstave glory, the strong leader fighting for them. They see his actions as necessary sacrifices for a greater good, bringing justice to a broken system. For his detractors, he embodies the shadow side, a tyrant whose personal battles and rigid ideology threaten the very fabric of democracy. They see the Merkstave Tyr in the pardoning of rioters and the Merkstave Ur in the dismissal of expert economic analysis. The runes do not choose a side, they simply reveal that both potentials, the noble king and the destructive tyrant, are intrinsically woven into his being. Ultimately, the runes tell us that Donald Trump's role is that of a catalyst, a figure of immense force whose presence compels change and forces confrontation. The combination of Tyr's aggressive order and Nauder's deep-seated need creates a volatile but incredibly potent energy. This energy is now at the heart of America's destiny in 2025. The nation's path will be shaped by his battles, his victories, and his vision. The ancient Norse symbols do not predict the final outcome, but they illuminate the nature of the forces at play, reminding us that the destinies of leaders and nations are forged in the crucible of conflict, necessity, and the timeless quest for power.